ваши аплодисменты. Мы перерезаем ленту и открываем Азбуку Вкуса, ЖК Символ, на правительстве Азбука Вкуса открыта! Ура! Просим всех заходить и оказаться в числе первых покупателей Азбуки Вкуса, ЖК Символ. Прошу.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell. Welcome to a very cold Moscow morning. Welcome to a new supermarket tour. Very interesting shop right behind me. We're going to go and check it out. The shop I want to take you around is right in front of us here. It's called Azbuka Vkusa. It translates in English to ABC of Taste. It's open 24 hours. Now it's just had its grand opening, and from here out it never closes. And interestingly, it's got a cafe or a seating area up on the second level. It's in the lower ground floor of this apartment building right here, and this is very typical of supermarkets that open in new micro districts. You can see all of these new buildings. There's still a lot of work going on for the remodeling of them and construction. This area is called Stone Rise. It's an interesting translation of the name of this micro district. It's very close to the metro station Sberbank. It's about 5 or 7 minutes walk. Now this supermarket is something that's a little bit different to a lot of the videos on my channel. Now I have made videos in these stores before. However, in the current time we're in, and a couple of years later from the first video I made, I'm interested to see how it's changed in the last 2 or 3 years. The fact that this is brand new as well. The actual chain itself is owned by another chain of supermarkets, and they were recently purchased by another brand. So it's interesting how they're continuing to expand and open new locations. And I think for a lot of people around the world who are not from Russia, I think this might be very eye-opening to see the store and what's inside and the choices of products that are maybe not necessarily all Russian made. If you are watching this and wondering how you've come across it on YouTube or how you've been recommended it, I'm an Australian who lives here in the Moscow region. I live on the opposite side of Moscow from this store. Every video I make seems to be never around the corner from my house. However, most of the videos on the channel are about retail, and particularly supermarkets, shopping centers. And if I can get a chance to come to a grand opening, why not? And to show you something maybe that you've never seen before, or try to understand a little bit more about Russian supermarkets, this might be a good example of that. The tagline on the outside of the store says food, culture and discovery. So I wonder what I'm going to discover inside and what cultural differences there are between Azbuka Vkusa and all of the other Russian typical supermarkets around the entire country. Now it is a bit cooler outside today, so coming inside it's very nice to warm up. They've got the heating on. Also this double door system just makes for a much warmer shop when you come in. Now there is quite a lot to understand when you first walk in the store. And now almost every location that you come to is different based on the format of the store or the layout. Now they have no two shops the same. So over here on the right hand side they've got a cafe, and then the stairs that lead upstairs to the seating area. We'll go have a look at that in a little bit. And then there is the most important part right at the front. All of the fruits and all of the vegetables, all the bright colors that are always my thumbnail of my pictures. So the shop itself is more of a walk around format, so you can walk straight ahead, end up back around at the registers, which are over on the far left hand side. So there's the checkouts over here. So what we might do is just go for a bit of a general walkthrough and just try to understand what we're looking at and what they have. Naturally, with the colder weather outside, everybody wants coffee. Also the fact that there isn't another supermarket within a reasonable walking distance this is going to be very popular. Also, this micro district that we're in is business class, and Azbuka Vkusa itself markets itself as a premium or luxury supermarket. And I can tell you from the shops that I've been to and the different supermarkets that I've visited in Russia, it definitely answers that question. Is this store premium or luxury? It definitely is. So there is quite a few people in the store because of the opening. There's also a lot of the employees in here as well. There is quite a lot of media and press as I've been walking around. Now, what's really interesting is the amount of products in here that are both their own private label products and then a lot of course, traditional normal brands, but they have a lot of imported items. And this is a good example of that. I probably might need some help in the comments. So if you do see some of the non-Russian brands and you recognize them, now this won't be a 3-hour video showing every shelf. However, there's a mixture of the private label products, which will be made from Russian manufacturers, making them specifically for this chain of stores. Check out the natural honeycomb there. That's pretty cool. I did see on another content creators' videos here in Russia that they said they can't find Canadian maple syrup, and it's right on the shelf. And I understand if things have left Russia and they're not possible to find. This shop opened a few hours ago. Now, what I wanted to show you, or where I can point it out, I will, on the Kellogg's Frosties right here. Now, this is Tony the Tiger, probably the most recognized breakfast cereal ambassador. However, it's Kellogg's coming from Dublin, Ireland, right there on the side of the pack. Now, I will say that this is one of the nicest shops that you'll ever come to in Moscow, perhaps in Russia. They've got the well-known Starbucks brand right there. I think we all know that very well also. I'm curious if they've got the coffee somewhere in the store. So as I walk around, you're going to see the different categories of products. Now, this is not a very big shop. This is considered probably more of a large convenience store. However, in Russia, we like to call them all supermarkets. But what they're trying to do is make them closer to home. So the actual stores themselves are in a more reasonable distance from where you live. You don't have to travel too far. You could quite literally walk from your apartment, come down the elevator, and you can be in the shop. Some of the long life milks and creams. Now, I don't confess to know every brand in the world, but when I see some non-Russian brands, it's always good to point it out. But they have some very nice food in here. If you're ever looking for probably the best supermarket in Moscow, I mean, is it the best in Russia? I'm sure someone in another city will tell me otherwise. All of the nuts and dried fruits. So you'll see again the brand of the supermarket right on the product. And they obviously take trust in the brands that they've decided to partnership with to make the products. Here is all of the healthy items and different types of things that perhaps have some ingredients excluded. So they do have a ready food area here. So all of these first 5 or 6 doors on the right hand side are all of the prepared food or pre-cooked food. So breakfast, lunch and dinner can be served. They even have desserts as well. So ideally you just take this home, take it out the packet, and your meal is ready. Sandwiches. So these will be made at local kitchens. somewhere here in Moscow or the Moscow region, then delivered to the store daily. They have quite an assortment of them. I think everybody in Russia knows very well now that this ready food category is getting bigger and bigger. Actually, it extends the entire length of these fridges. So there's a whole section here for soups, for salads, and then lunch or dinner in a prepared packaging. Most of them are microwavable, where they're cooked foods. Of course, things like salads, you can just open out of the container. I just wanted to show here the olives, because they've got a very nice section of olives. So I was told, and someone who is Russian might want to correct me, that they don't produce olives in Russia. And all of these are imported, either directly or packaged locally. So if someone can let me know if that's correct or not. Slowly, as I've been here a little bit longer today, more and more people are starting to come in shopping. Today is, of course, a work day in Russia, so I don't expect, crowds of people outside the store, and people will typically come after work. Just going back to the fruits and vegetables here and all the leaf vegetables. So shops like this won't have a huge stock of products. They'll get smaller amounts delivered on a daily basis. There's no need to get pallets of something. Just get smaller amounts that are better quality, sell out of them, and get the next delivery tomorrow or the day after. So all very traditional items. However, there's a lot of things that are, I'm going to say, a little bit better quality in here. I have to be fair to all of the different shops that I go to. The grab and go caviar section, they have quite a few choices. Of course, also the prices vary considerably as well, up to about $300 or $400 for a jar. Now this is where it gets really interesting. These different areas here, and they've got fresh foods, and you're actually buying them by weight. So this one here has fish or salmon. There's some smoked salmon as well, very delicious. So the staff will actually weigh it out for you and prepare it. And then as I turn around, I'm trying to do this in as fewer takes as possible, so you can just get the feeling for the store. Now, naturally, there's a lot of people probably with their eyes wide open because of the assortment in here. All these prepared pastas, so they even pair things together. One thing they do very well in Azbuka Vkusa is the way that they combine products in the same category. By the way, the plastic cutlery is still alive and well in Russia. They are trying to go green a little bit, but if anybody needs me to send them some straws, just drop me a message. And then you've got the ready-made salads. So pretty much any salad that you're used to getting on the table in Russia is sitting here prepared already. And it's all by weight. So generally, what a lot of people are doing here, by the way, they're not shopping for a week. They're usually shopping just for a couple of days. So you're normally buying something that you're going to eat today or tomorrow, or maybe you're going to put on the table for friends to come over and have. Sauces. And then you've got a little bit more international products, so this Asian assortment. I think every supermarket around the world now has this. Pasta sauces. But there's a very nice selection of different ones that aren't necessarily all from Russia. And we've got the deli section. So hams and cheeses, smoked meats, I've been to the shop where this is from, this particular one right here. I'm gonna have to put a link in the description of the video to show you a couple of the factory shops that I've actually been to. And we'll look at all these nice hams and cheeses. So they've got these little charcuterie boards, as they're called. And they like to pair here with some of the dips, maybe a different wine that they can put together. Now, I'll try to walk around in a bit of a logical circle. Cheeses, Swiss cheese, French cheese, some Italian products, and then of course some Russian brands as well. But just phenomenal, the assortment that you see. I just want to say a big hello to a few subscribers. I didn't catch the one guy's name, however we stopped for a photograph, and generally when I come to shops or shopping centers I do get recognized a lot, so if you do see me out and about, definitely stop me, say hello, and thank you so much for the conversation and chat. It's so nice that you enjoy the videos. I'll just come around the other side because the end of the aisle is a little bit blocked with other shoppers. So there is a little bit of frozen stuff. So you can get some different fish products, mussels, crab, and then also, of course, we have the holidays coming up. And I think they probably would have put these out knowing that the shop would open in the month leading up to the holidays in December and January. All of the oils. So there is quite an assortment here of both Italian and Spanish oils. And you'll see again the domestic labeled products. Now the one thing that you'll notice in this shop is they don't have huge assortments of one item. Where I might go to one of the discount supermarkets, there might be 10 or 15 different types of cooking oil. Here, just one or two. What they want to do is make sure that across the whole shop they've got a more procured selection of products. So everything that you need for life is in here. However, it's just another notch above or a step above any other supermarket that will be around the corner from this place. Actually, even just the rice selection is very nice. Basmati rice and all of the regular cooking items. So any type of things like the sachet products. Okay, we know all the things like salt and flour. There's some canned meat. And then the packaged seafood. So these are mostly coming from Russian suppliers, either here in Moscow or one of the other nearby cities. Meat selection. Now it is a lot more common for people to go to butcher's shops, or there is even a chain of supermarkets in Russia which is producing meats. But they do have a nice assortment. I wonder if Prime Foods is their brand. It is quite noticeable on a lot of their meats. But they have some very delicious cuts of meat in here. Lamb chops up there. My wife keeps telling me that I need to go and visit my favorite cafe for lamb chops. So all of the hams, so quite a lot of Spanish and Italian ones as well. So there is, I'm going to say, more than enough choices in here. Now the one thing again that I'll point out is that people like to shop close to home, and people don't need to get in their car and drive to go to bigger hypermarkets it's not necessary. And everything is nearby where you live. This assortment of beers is quite extensive, even just for one shelf. I don't think, is there any Russian ones mixed in here? I'm struggling to see them. Some of the different condiments here are quite interesting. Now, I'm not aware of some of these brands, so if anyone knows Condito, now this is definitely imported. On the back you'll see this white label that's put on the product when it comes into Russia, normally because of the language. On the ingredients, I think we all know Tabasco from America, right there, Worcestershire sauce, and then this one right here from England, Dine with Atkins and Potts. So the British are well and truly here in Moscow, and they've done so well to be able to bring so many foreign products into the store. The different cheeses. So these ones you can buy by the weight, so they actually cut it for you. We've even got some sampling going on. And then again, this pairing, so the alcohol, I'm not sure what that is, but it looks tasty. Ah, okay. Yeah. Okay, so like a marmalade to go with your cheese. Now, I didn't see many people walking in this alcohol section, but I'm guessing it is definitely open. So all of the tequilas, gins, and this is where it goes to another level altogether. And these cognacs and brandies. And there is products in here which would match some people's monthly rent or mortgage payment. Have a look at the Macallans there. 18-year-old Glenfiddich. They've got Johnny Walker Blue Label, probably one of the most known, I guess, premium blended whiskies. Japanese whiskies. And for anyone that didn't know, I was working in duty-free, airports, cruise ships, and land-based shops in the Caribbean. And alcohol is what I was dealing with. Alcohol, tobacco, luxury chocolates. So to walk into this shop and then see this range, all the American ones that ended up on the bottom shelf, but the entire range of Dewar's, Diageo, Bacardi, they're all here, Macallan. It's really just on another level altogether. One thing also, which is quite interesting, is barring some of the high-end products in just two different cases, everything is just openly on the shelf. I mean, the big bottle of Jack Daniel's just on the floor right there. And there's no anti-theft tags on anything. There is nothing that can't be just taken off the shelf and then just walked around to the register. The vodkas, Grey Goose. So there's some French vodka right there. And this kind of store won't necessarily have a big vodka selection. It'll just have a few key brands. And that's all you need. You know, you don't need whole aisles of it, like in some shops. And then the wines and champagnes. And then all of the red and white wines. We've also got a fridge here with some of the chilled ones and premium ones. The smaller bottles as well. Also the Jeroboams, the larger bottles. So very nice assortment. Chilled champagnes. These little mini bottles if you want to take a little bit of a lunchtime break. Also these pre-made martinis. So no matter where I'm walking and looking, there is just something to take in and try to understand some of the small batch beers. Czech lager. Of course Heineken, which left Russia, is coming back to Russia. So this is the imported Heineken. They did make it domestically. They also can import it as well. Strongbow. Magners. It's really interesting. I'm saying this word quite a lot because where everybody shops as their local shop, we know the assortment very well. But then when you go to another store or to one that's not your local one, you're almost in shock and your mouth is hanging open because you're just taken back by all the items. Cakes, and then all of the biscuits and cookies. So we've got some Russian brands which are very typical, and then we've got the French right here, and then also from England, Wagon Wheels, very, very famous British brand right there on the back. You can't hide it if you try. I mean, where else could they put it? They also have their own private label chocolate at the same time. But the assortment is just something else. I'm gonna have to try something. We've also got individually packaged donuts and pastries, and then you come around to the actual other bakery here, or at least is it the patisserie? So this is an extension of the coffee shop from the very beginning. So you can buy the entire cake, or you can buy just slices if you like. Very delicious. And then all of the breads. So these are all what would be called artisan breads. So there'll be some that are made here in the store. They'll also have some what's called par-baked bread, where they actually have speed ovens, like you see in the back right there. And then I think around the corner there's some bread that's packaged. And I hope nobody's hungry, because you're watching the wrong video. The tea and coffee section is rather interesting as well. And the gentleman just put it right back on the shelf there. So the Starbucks pods, which we know very well. And then these of course are imported. But for these shops to say, or these brands to say that they're not in Russia, and then we're 3 years into all these events where things aren't available. I'm walking in here and seeing brands that I can't even buy in Australia, and we have free trade agreements. And then I'm walking around here and seeing, about 50 types of coffee on this tiny shelf. Even the chocolate bar selection is definitely elevated and more choices than usual. Belgium chocolate, Swiss chocolate, Italian chocolate, and then Dubai chocolate. Now I will say this is a little bit high priced, but is Dubai chocolate still a thing, or is it just on the shelf now and we're not that bothered about it anymore? I'm curious. Let's see if we can scooch through. I really want to show you the tea section over on this side, because there's some really interesting choices. Now everybody walking around me now is in here doing their full shopping. It's not as easy to come and film. I'm doing it still in the middle of the day, but there's obviously excitement around this. Now I have relatives who live about 15 minutes away from this particular tea place, Taylors of Harrogate. And this is a place in Yorkshire in England. I'm not sure if newbie, of course, English breakfast. Now, of course, the prices are going to be adjusted purely because of the logistics of getting these products on the shelf. It would be too easy to fill the whole store with only Russian brands. I mean, you could easily do that. But this is a shop that's in that premium and luxury category. French brioche bread. Maybe there's a French baker somewhere in Moscow making these. And then all the dry treats and crackers and these healthy crackers that my wife buys and eats and I don't understand the taste of. They've even got a holiday section already prepared. And I think this is a whole area here where they've got seasonal products. Anthony Berg, I think people know well, these alcohol chocolates. Guerlain, of course. And then French cognacs and champagnes. Just wondering where my colas are. I didn't even see them yet. So, traditional bottled water. And then you can get one from anywhere you like then. If you need Italian water, French water. Where is the Fiji water? I don't see it. And then all of the gassy water or bubbly water. San Benito. Perrier, we know. Is there not a cola section? What's going on? I'm almost getting thirsty worrying. We've got all the cold coffee drinks. Okay, we have some colas here, so we can be at least a little bit happy. Now these are, I think this is from Poland. Looking at this one. So I made it upstairs to the cafe and I thought I'd try a couple of different things that I got from the patisserie section. There's too long a line at the coffee shop section, but they do have quite similar products there. And I got myself some traditional Russian lemonade. And this is always nice. And I've done lots of talking and that's the first drink I've had since I left home this morning. Now I got myself a donut, and I'm fairly sure this is a classic donut with like a vanilla cream. And the thing is, you can buy these, take them home, put them on the tray, and no one would have any clue where you bought them from. Oh. Very tasty. Really. Oh. If anybody likes donuts, it's very nice. Very close to a classic donut with the sugar, but it has like a bit of an icing on it. And then the second item I got, now I thought it was the traditional Medovik cake because it kind of said that, but then the lady was pointing to another one and she was telling me how great it was. And now I don't think they're biased because they probably look at them all day and don't really want them as much as we do. But so Medovik cake or honey cake is how it translates to in English. is a sponge cake with different layers of like a honey, like a cream kind of a filling. Always a little bit messy, but oh, okay, now you can really taste the honey in the middle. And you've got to remember, this is a supermarket. However, this is a supermarket on a different level to some of the discount supermarkets. I will always say the word Russian typical supermarket in a lot of my titles, because to a lot of people and to a segment of the population, this will become their typical supermarket and their corner store. And of course, everyone has a choice where we go shopping, just like I do, just like my wife does here in Moscow. I'm on the other side of the city from here. However, I can still come to one of these shops to buy something. But if I can just walk from my building to the next building and buy, tasty food, I don't need to go to another location. This is what's probably misunderstood and misinterpreted by a lot of people who are watching from around the world. The abundance of options for food, particularly supermarket food or grocery food. And most Russians are not doing that traditional weekly shop. We're shopping usually just for 1 day or 2 days, and that's it. And when we want something else, we just go to the shop again. And the cycle just keeps repeating itself. This donut is nice. But I think we saw a lot of nice things in the store, so I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to give you one last look at the store before I leave, and I'll give you my final thoughts. So I'm going to do one more sampling before I head out. Now, the table that they had set up there, they're actually doing, or they've got catering trays. So you can order different things that are pre-made, maybe for a birthday or a get-together or for work or something. But these little pastries with the meat inside. Kind of savory, a little bit sweet. I'm really not sure what they all are, but they're still good. Okay, this one has like a fish or a bit of a like a salmon. I think everything you eat in here is good. There's something about this store that it's like magically. That was a potato. Well, and then the last one is a lula kebab. Now normally you get this in a longer stick, but the smaller one. Okay, this is good as well. I think I can stay here for a few more hours and do some more sampling. I won't need dinner tonight. As I walk on out of Azbuka Vkusa and slowly head towards the railway station, I'm very fortunate the actual station here takes me directly to my house. Now it is about an hour and a half away. However, I've got a direct train line from just around the corner from here. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I think it might be very long. However, I was undecided how to make this video, whether I should just do the traditional walk around and traditional video, or if I should go down the sanctions route. And of course, a lot of people will comment that sanctions don't affect food. And food is not sanctioned, let's say like that. And of course, I understand that things like food, medicine, and whatever else is on the list is not sanctioned. However, the logistics of getting it here is what is the problem. And then the fact that companies have decided not to work in Russia or with Russia. However, you can quite clearly see from this video The brands are absolutely on the shelves, and you know, the fact that it has to just take a little bit of a longer trip around the world to come from one location to another. I mean, the fact that there is Australian wine in there, New Zealand wine in there. Now, I didn't point out all the wines, but they're there. You know, and the amount of food that's coming from Europe. And this is a brand new shop. It's not a shop that's old and the products have been on the shelves and it's the last stuff in the warehouse from 3 years ago. I mean, Moscow has a population of 15 to 18 million people. If a shop didn't even get a delivery for a few days or a week, you'd start seeing empty shelves very quickly. So coming to this sort of shop, now I did say it during the video that this is a premium or luxury supermarket, and it's definitely suited to a certain niche of shopper. You know, not everybody's going to go in there, me included. I will only generally pop into one if it's in an area where I'm walking or where I might have gone into another part of Moscow, and that's the reason I'll go in there. We particularly like the cafe. My wife and I have been many times to the cafe in other locations, and actually it's all nice in there. It's just a matter of finding your favorite thing. So thanks everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Plenty more to watch on the channel if you want to see other videos of cheap supermarkets, discount supermarkets, or any of the other typical Russian supermarkets. And really, could you shop there? Would you shop there if you had a chance? And you know, is it similar to your local shop as well? If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, post a comment. If you really like the channel, subscribe. You'll see the next video coming up. It's the easiest way to follow the channel for any new videos. And then my social media is right here. You can click that and follow me and my daily travels here in Russia. And if you want to watch an old video on the channel, you can click this link and keep traveling with Russell. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.